Has time been speeding up, slowing down, perhaps even bending to your will? Dreams been, well, a little bit weirder than normal? Life suddenly just gotten turned upside down, like for no apparent reason? I'd like to help you to understand a little bit more about what's going on with this. And it's connected to a transit of Saturn as it's moving through Shatabhisha Nakshatra. I have a special offer open for the next several days on my Empower Hour consultations, where you can schedule in with me and understand this transit in relation to your own horoscope for only $111. And you can schedule that using the discount code all uppercase letters, Saturn, at the link above. So let's talk a little bit more about this transit. So those of you who are familiar to the world of Vedic astrology, you'll know what a nakshatra is. For those who aren't, nakshatras are divisions of the heavens related to the stars. There's 27 of these. They're different than zodiac signs. Sometimes they get understood as being similar, but they're completely different concept. Sometimes they're also referred to as lunar mansions. And for those of you who are Vedic astrology enthusiasts, you're probably going, but I thought that it was in Dhanishta Nakshatra. I use a completely different set of calculations, hence the reason for Shatabhisha Nakshatra. And I generally tend to find it a little more accurate. Otherwise, I wouldn't use it. Okay. So let's talk a little bit more in depth about this particular transit. I've been talking to a lot of people in the healing community about what's been going on in their lives. And everybody has been talking about, I'm losing complete track of time. People who are usually not on time are on time all of a sudden. Everybody's dreams have been getting a little bit weird. I know in my world, everything has just completely altered within the last few days, and in more of a positive direction, but still a little bit topsy-turvy, as Saturn does, because Saturn is related to the air element, which displaces things and moves things because it has to, so that we can work through our karma. So understanding this particular transit and why you might be having things connected with time. Well, first of all, Saturn is connected to time. We need the experience of time in order to be able to work through all those things in our consciousness that keep us from seeing the purity of our being. That's why we need time to sort out the drama of consciousness. We also need space, which is a function of Jupiter. So Jupiter and Saturn together create space and time for the drama of creation to unfold within. And interestingly enough, Saturn is forming an aspect, an important aspect to Jupiter in Bharani Nakshatra. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. I want to talk to you first of all about Shatabhisha and why we might be having these experiences related to time, why suddenly our relationship to time might be altering, why suddenly our dreams are getting, well, a little bit weirder than normal, and ultimately what it's all about. And what it's all about, I want to share with you, is the fact that on one level or another in your life, you're being asked to step up your game. You're being asked to accept more responsibility. You're being called upon to work with time in a different manner, to use your time more productively, to understand that time is a construct which we need to have for our consciousness to unfold the drama of creation, as I was saying, but it's a construct of the human consciousness. So therefore, it's all relevant to how we perceive it, which is why the age-old saying, how time is very relative, right? Because it is, it's relative to how we're perceiving it. So we're being called upon to work with time in a different manner and to work with space in a different manner. And if we look around on the planet, we can see so many radical changes going on. And so with those radical changes, everybody, I would say, not just those, let's start with everybody, okay? Everybody's being asked to step up their game on one level or another, especially if you're someone who is a healer or has wisdom to share or counsels. You're being called upon to step up, to step up a lot more. And so it's going to be important for you to learn how to work with time more efficiently. Hence, all these different experiences you might be having, which are causing you to view time and indeed space in a completely different manner. Now, Shatabhisha Nakshatra, interestingly enough, is connected to beings that are called the Pracheta. Pracheta means those of wisdom. And there are three specific groups of the Pracheta. I'm going to explain those to you. And those are the Manus. So Manus, their responsibility is to physical growth, what's going on within the physical world, growth within the physical world, the organization of society, what's happening globally, right? That makes sense? Makes a lot of sense, huh? In addition to that, geological changes. The Manus are all connected with that. They come in, they influence those things for the sake of the purification of our karma. Now, the Dakshas, they do something that's very similar, but they carry out their function on a more lower plane than do the Manus. And in order to fulfill their responsibility, they accept a certain degree of restriction. And you'll find with Shatabhisha Nakshatra, and you may even find in your life, that you're being asked to take on responsibility that on one level you know is important, but on another level, you're perhaps somewhat reluctant. That's connected to this particular aspect of Shatabhisha. And then we have the Valmikis. The job of the Valmikis is to impart spiritual knowledge so that individuals will know how to purify themselves so that they can carry a higher rate of consciousness. So all of this is being moved through Saturn. Saturn's an important planet, and it often gets a bad reputation. If we understand the sun as being connected to our soul, in Vedic astrology, Saturn is the child of the sun. He's the illegitimate child of the sun, right? It's the illegitimate child of the sun and shadow, which makes a lot of sense. And so, being the illegitimate child of sun and shadow, Saturn's job on a certain level is to help us to work through the darkness that exists within us as individuals, things that we're not aware of, where we're ignorant, so that we can be more aware. But Saturn is also a servant. And Saturn can quite often make us feel like we're accepting a subservient role in one area of life or another. And the way to work with Saturn when it's making you feel, well, for lack of a better way to put it, like you're a slave, is to instead go, how can I be of service? So, on one level in your life, you're being asked to be of greater service right now. Now, as I was saying, as Saturn transits through Shatabhisha Nakshatra, which is going to be continuing through until February 12th, 2024, it's going to be forming an aspect with Jupiter in Bharani. Okay, Bharani is symbolized by the female reproductive organ. It is the birth canal. Everything comes into this earth through that. And so it is through that that changes take place and that purification happens. Now, Saturn in Shatabhisha, so Shatabhisha will tend to bring to the surface a healing crisis, that when we work through this healing crisis, it begins to release a higher degree of awareness within us as individuals. And if we understand that relationship with Jupiter that's going, hey, I'm giving birth to something new here on the planet. Now, this particular transit between Saturn and Jupiter, it can bring some difficulties and some tense feelings. I mean, and understanding the concept of birth, all birth is preceded by labor and those labor pains. And we have to be very careful how we work with these energies right now. And especially, it's very crucial over the course of the next few weeks, because we have an aspect at present, most especially in the present moment, we've got Mercury and Venus forming an aspect to Saturn as well, with Mercury in Anuradha, which is making us question our devotions, right? To look at those things that we're really, truly devoted to, and to understand how deeply we're really willing to be that devoted. Venus is in Uttara Falguni. Uttara Falguni relates to the confidence that you need in order to step things up a little bit. And if you're not 100% behind your actions, it's ultimately hard for you to have that confidence. So over the course of the next several days, you're actually looking at your devotion to your path. You're looking at the things that lie ahead of you, especially over the course of the next several months. And that's why this transit is really so very vital and important. Every single individual who is here on the planet has a role to play for the greater good. So there's not a single one of us who isn't having some super powerful thing that's going on in their lives right now, right? If there's somebody who's saying, well, I don't have some super powerful thing going on in my life, it's just because it hasn't kicked in yet. And super powerful doesn't mean negative. Negative only happens when we don't cooperate with the changes that are there, that we don't work with them with awareness. Now, that doesn't mean if you're aware of the situation that's going on that you're going to go, oh, well, there's no difficulty here. No, it means, sometimes when we go through difficult times, that difficulty needs to be there, but at least we're aware of why it's happening. And meaning and purpose give so much gravity to overcoming any sort of restrictions that we're feeling. Hence, the Manus, the Dakshas, and the Valmikis. The Dakshas especially, who go, okay, this is my job. This is what I'm here to do. So I'm willing to accept a degree of responsibility in doing it. So in short, if time seems to be altering right before your very eyes, if you find yourself dealing with things from the dream realm. Well, we didn't touch on the dream realm, but saying that, briefly, really, that's the way that the universe speaks to us. The universe speaks to us in symbolism. And when our mind is caught up in constant conscious, yet on a certain level, maybe unconscious chitter chatter that's going on all the time, we need that quiet space of the mind during sleep and dream time for that set of symbolism to really kind of come in and go, hey, I'm trying to give you a message. Nakshatras work really wonderfully for that because they have such a really sharp and crisp set of symbols connected to it that when you work with it, you really begin to very deeply understand what you're being asked to do. And so with Shatabhisha Nakshatra, we're really being asked to step up our awareness. Shatabhisha is connected to a thousand-petaled lotus flower. It's about the blossoming of awareness, right? So in one level or another of your life, and you can say this is going on every moment, but it's even more powerful right now with this transit of Saturn and Jupiter, Saturn in Shatabhisha and Jupiter in Bharani. So you're being asked to call forward greater awareness, to accept responsibility, to learn how to work with time in a more efficient manner, and to learn how to work with your consciousness and the space of your existence in relevance to time in order to make the most of the responsibility that you're now being asked to bear. You likely know what that is. If you don't, as I was mentioning before, I'm presently offering a special consultation. It's really just a branch off of the Empower Hour consultation. So what you would be doing is you would be scheduling in the Empower Hour and just use the discount code Saturn, all uppercase letters. It will reduce the price of the consultation for you to $111, and you can do that at the link you'll see above. That's going to do it for this look at Saturn's transit through Shatabhisha Nakshatra. From now until, I should say Saturn direct through Shatabhisha Nakshatra. From now until the 12th of February, 2024. Until next time, as always, please do take the very best care of yourself. Bye now.